In this video, we're going to show you how to set up and connect the Shure MV7 Dynamic Microphone with the Rodecaster Pro audio mixer for podcasting. Now, the Shure MV7 is a super interesting microphone. It comes in two different versions. There's the hybrid version, which we have here, that has a USB output and an XLR output. We're just going to be using the XLR output for the purposes of this video. We don't need to connect the USB cable to power it up or anything like that. And then the Rodecaster Pro is an awesome audio mixer. I think it's the mixer that everybody's looking for right now for podcast recording. We're going to show you how to set everything up and connect it. So whether or not you have a whole pile of equipment in front of you, you're trying to figure it out, or if you're about to buy everything, we hope this video will be helpful for you. We do have some links down in the description below if you are price shopping. These links will help get you the best price possible across a variety of online retailers. Again, just to save you some money if there is an opportunity to do so. For the purposes of this video, the Rodecaster Pro has been factory reset, except one thing. I did go in and turn off the audio processing. My preference is always to set up the microphone level and gain first before we go into the audio processing. The way I do things, it has to be done in stages, and it makes the most sense, and make sure that things like compression and EQ settings aren't messing up the way that we set up our gain. So that's one thing there. I'm going to hit record here. Right now you are listening to the Lav Mic. You can see a picture of it up in the top corner. When we switch over to the Rodecaster Pro with the Shure MV7, you'll see a picture of the Shure MV7, just so you know what you're listening to at any given time. All right, let's get started. Now for podcasting, some people prefer no headphones, some people prefer with. I prefer podcasting with closed back headphones. This prevents the microphone from hearing the output of the headphones. Some people prefer open back headphones. They're more comfortable, they're lighter weight, they're better for longer periods of time. So the preference really is up to you. We do have some links down in the description of what we prefer. Next, in terms of setting up the Shure MV7 properly, it all starts with proper mic positioning. The microphone just will not sound good if you don't have it positioned correctly. For me, that means keeping it within about a fist of your mouth. I think that's the best kind of spacing. If you get too close, it can get really poppy and boomy. If you get too far away, you have to turn up the gain too much on the audio mixer. Next, we can connect the XLR output of the microphone to the XLR input on the audio mixer. We prefer using these Canary XLR cables. They're super high quality Star Quad studio cables, and they come in a variety of colors. Okay, so we connected it. Next, we can set up the level. What we're going to do here is there's no master fader, there's no steps that we need to do beforehand. We just turn up the level for the microphone. We're going to turn it right up to this kind of darker hash line there, right kind of in the middle for the fader. We can ignore the screen for now. Now, the reason I don't turn this up all the way is because we want to set this microphone up so we have some dynamic range to work with. If our podcast guest gets a little quieter, we want the headroom here to be able to turn them up. We want to have it kind of here so we can turn them down or up and react to the podcast. The worst thing that you can do is start your podcast like that, because if people get quieter, you're kind of out of options. So we're going to set up our faders here, set up our channels with the fader right in the middle. Next, we can select this pink button for channel number 1. We're going to go to microphone, and we're going to select dynamic. The Shure MV7 is a dynamic microphone. It is not a condenser microphone. There is one time that you might want to use the condenser setting with the Shure MV7, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Next, we're going to go to level. Now, the goal here is to set up the microphone with enough level that you hit the sweet spot there without it hitting 40. Once you go over 40, the preamp can get really noisy, really hissy, and really distracting in your podcast recording. I'm going to go quiet and turn it all the way up to 50 just so you can hear that hiss noise come in. Okay, so aside from the plane flying overhead, you should be able to hear that hiss noise come in, especially between 45 and 50. So that's when we really don't want to exceed that limit. That's when you might consider something like a Cloudlifter. So we're going to show you two different ways to set up the level on this microphone. The first way is simply to increase the level like this, probably around 40, I think looks good. And we're right, you can tell I'm talking really comfortably. I'm not pushing it, I'm not really quiet. I'm comfortably moving a little bit around the microphone, and you can tell that I'm remaining right in the sweet spot of the level meter for the Rodecaster Pro. Now, if you are not as loud as me, that's no problem, but we do need to find a way to make it a little bit louder. In my mind, there's no point going over 40 because it gets really hissy, so it's kind of counterproductive. It will degrade the quality of your podcast, in my opinion. So we do need to connect a Cloudlifter. So option 1 is increasing the level to 40. Option 2 is trying to connect something like the Cloudlifter. I'm going to turn the level down now. So you're listening to the Lav Mic again. Now, a Cloudlifter is a type of inline preamp. There's many other versions of the Cloudlifter from other companies. We'll put some links down in the description below. But basically what this does is it will trade about 25 decibels of clean gain in exchange for phantom power. Now, the Shure MV7 is a dynamic microphone, so it does not require phantom power. So we can take the phantom power out of this mixer for the Cloudlifter to give more clean gain for the microphone. So we're going to do that now. We can unplug the XLR cable and plug it into the Cloudlifter. So right now we have an XLR cable coming from the back of the microphone and into the Cloudlifter. Next, we obviously need to connect the Cloudlifter to our audio mixer. So we're going to take the XLR cable, connect it to the Cloudlifter. This is the same type of cable that we used before, same brand and everything, just a different color to help keep us organized. If you were really being proactive, I love doing I'd get a pink cable for channel 1, a green cable for channel 2, blue, and so on. Helps keep you organized when you're making your runs. I think it looks cool. Some people prefer black, but it's completely up to you. So now that we've reconnected this XLR cable here, you can see that we have no level. That's because, like I said, this Cloudlifter needs phantom power. So there's 2 ways that we can turn it on. We can turn on the phantom power switch there, and you can see that now we have tons of level. Or we can go back, let's go to level here. We'll turn off the phantom power that we just turned on. We'll go back, we'll go to microphone, and you can select condenser. Now, if we go back to level, you'll see phantom power is turned on. So that's what the condenser mode does. It basically just turns phantom power on. Next, we can increase the level, something like 25, 24, let's try 26, 28. I think 28's good. You can see I'm right there in the middle of the green meter. I think this is a great level. So using something like the Cloudlifter will give you more gain. So if you are soft-spoken, this would be helpful for you. I think 90% of people could get by with the Shure MV7 and no Cloudlifter or inline preamp. I think the Rodecaster Pro has enough gain built in, but I did want to show it just for the purposes of making this video complete. So now we have our level all set up. Actually, I'm going to bring this up so now you can hear it. So now you're no longer hearing the Lav Mic, you're hearing the Rodecaster Pro. Next, let's go to the audio processing. So what does the compressor do? The compressor will narrow the dynamic range of this microphone. What that means is it kind of auto mixes for you in a way. It'll take your quieter moments, make them a little bit louder. It'll take your louder moments and apply a compression ratio and squish it down. So it really narrows the volume range of the microphone. Now, it can make your microphone sound a little robotic. It can take a little bit of emotion out of the presenter, so you don't want to do it to everybody, but some people it works really well. So I'm going to turn it on there. Next, we have the high pass filter. Basically, what the high pass filter does, I'll turn it on right now, is it does a low end roll off somewhere between 80 and 120 hertz. Basically, what it's trying to do is it'll take your microphone and remove it from everybody's subwoofer. There's nothing really useful down in those lower frequencies between 80 and 120 hertz. So this will roll off those frequencies, clean it up. If people are listening to your podcast in the car, now their subwoofers aren't rumbling. I think we can all agree that that's probably a good thing during a podcast. Or if people are listening at their desk and they have a subwoofer, it basically just removes it out of there, cleans it up a little bit, which I think is a good thing for almost any vocal mic. Next, we have a DeEsser, exactly what it sounds like. If you really enunciate the S's, if you have a lisp, if you have those sibilant frequencies a lot, it can make your podcast a lot easier to listen to. So I like having that on. Next, we have the noise gate. Basically what the noise gate does is it will automatically mute your microphone when you're not speaking into it. I recommend this for group podcasts of 3 or 4 people, but if you're a single person podcast, a one person podcast, it's probably not the best thing to have. I can often hear it clicking in and out, and it's more distracting than it's worth. That being said, if you do have a lot of background noise, like family or friends that you live with, roommates, anything like that, if you have fan noise and air conditioner, it can clean up the sound of your podcast a little bit. It's something that you'll want to test and experiment with a little bit. I'll turn it on now. So there you can hear it kind of clicking out when I stop speaking, and then it opens up again when I start speaking. Sometimes it can sound all right and natural, but for one person talking head video like this one, I prefer to have it turned off. Next, we have the Aural exciter. This is good if you have somebody that's really dry. Maybe they just have a flat kind of response. This will boost the upper frequencies and kind of liven it up a bit. But if you do turn it on for the wrong person, it'll make it sound really grating and kind of irritating. So you don't want to use this by default. Just if somebody sounds a little muddy, that's when I would use the Aural exciter. If that makes sense. I'm going to turn it on now so you can hear what I'm saying. Now, you might not hear the difference here if you're not wearing headphones. Even if you're just using nice studio speakers, it can be lost on some people and some people's sound systems. But for me in these headphones, it does sound quite a bit brighter on those upper frequencies, and it's definitely not something I would use on everyone. Next, we have the opposite of the Aural exciter. We have the big bottom. This is good if somebody's just lacking presence in your podcast. Maybe you have 3 guests that all have a ton of presence. Maybe you could describe them as being boisterous, and you have 1 guest that is not. This can add a little bit more presence on those lower frequencies. In my opinion, if you're going to turn on the big bottom for somebody, you should probably roll off the high pass filter and let those work together. There's no point chopping some lower frequencies with the high pass filter and then trying to re-accentuate them with the big bottom. So that's something to consider. Those two would work against each other there. So you either want one on and one off, or one on and the other one off. I'm going to turn the big bottom off, and I'm going to turn the high pass filter back on. Next, in the voice options, we have the voice tone. These are kind of easy EQ settings. If somebody has a deep, medium, or high voice, generally speaking, I always leave this on medium unless there's something really specific that I'm trying to experiment with or trying to achieve. Next, we have the strength. My understanding of the voice strength here is that this will kind of change some of the parameters of the compressor in the previous step. So if somebody's really soft and really quiet, maybe it'll add a little bit more makeup gain to that compressor. And if somebody has a really strong kind of overtaking every time they open their mouth, it'll add more, compression ratio or lower the threshold of the compressor to try and make all the guests in your podcast play a little bit nicer together. So that's a tool that you can use if you are using compression on all the channels. So that's really all the mic settings that you have to work with the Shure MV7. So you would continue to go down the channels from here and set up your other microphones. One thing to keep in mind here is that the level and some of these settings really do need to be calibrated per guest. You cannot simply copy paste the settings from one guest to another. All of your guests are unique and they all have their own characteristics with the microphone. So it is important that you go through this process, take 30 seconds with each guest, give them a quick test, make sure the level is set appropriately, make sure their voice sounds the way that you want it to, and that you edit some of these parameters to kind of dial them in and tune each guest so they all blend nicely within your podcast. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, if there's something I didn't cover for you, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. Again, if you are looking for pricing or specs, we do have a ton of helpful links for you down in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.